Hey guys, my name is Kaushik and welcome back to the ninth video of Playwright. And in this video, we are going to learn how to handle with different types of select or also known as the drop downs. So let's get started now. Before getting into the code, let us also see how to read the documentation and understand few of the concepts. So I'm in this website called playwright.dev, that is the official website of Playwright, and I'm going to navigate to this doc section, and here we have something called elements, I believe. Yeah, inputs. Okay, so if I go within this input, you can see that we have like select options. So let's click on that, and here you can see that we have a function called select option where we have to pass the locator and then followed by the value. So we have like only one function, select option. Based on that, we can perform multiple actions. Now let's see how to do that in code. So I'm going to take the example from letcode.in/dropdowns where we have like few of the test case scenario. Not everything we are going to perform, but let's see what are the things we must learn. So as usual, I have created a folder called select within the test folder, and within the select folder, I have a file called dropdown.test.ts file. Of course, it's a TypeScript. And as usual, we have the before all where we have created all the objects like how to launch the browser, the context page, and also the goto function to load the URL. And in after all, we are closing all the objects. I will comment as of now because we have to see the output. Then I'm going to create a test, and test is nothing but a spec. Okay, so if you are watching my previous video, definitely you will know that by this time. So I'm going to select say like select a based on value. Okay, so we are going to select a drop down based on the value, and of course it should be async, and we'll use the callback function. Within the callback function, we are going to write our actual code. So as usual, we'll say like await page dot dollar symbol to find the drop down first, right? So we will find the element, and based on that element, we will try to do some selection. Okay, so here we have like select the apple using the visible text. So this scenario or this scenarios are typically written based on the selenium, but we are just going to see like how to select different values based on values index or maybe text using Playwright. Okay, so I'm going to select this maybe orange. Okay, so we are going to select this orange, and also here we can see as soon as I select the orange, it's displaying like you have selected orange. So we are going to do the assertion as well here. Okay, so let's go and inspect, and if I mouse or on select on this, so if I go to the let path, probably you can see that it has a ID called fruits. So I'm just going to copy that, or if you go to the CSS tab, here also you can see we have like hash symbol and followed by the fruits. So I'm just going to click to copy that, and I'm going to paste over here. Okay, now let's store that in a variable called fruits. Okay, now I want to select the fruits of this one orange, right? So let's go and inspect that one, and within the select you can see that we have few of the options. That is how HTML work. So if it's a drop down or not, how to identify is very simple. If the element is in the select tag, then of course it's a drop down, correct? Now within this drop down we have several options. These options are basically whatever we see here, right? And in the options we have like two things. One is the value, and another one is the visible text, the text that appears on this particular drop down. So I'm just going to select the orange where we have a value equal to 2, right? So I'm just going to copy 2, or of course you can type it. Now let's see how to do that. So fruits dot, and then we have a function called select option, and then within the double quotes, that is string, we are going to pass the 2. Now why I'm passing 2 is basically by default select option function select the drop down based on the value. So here you can see that it has a value called 2, right? So that is why we have specified the 2 here. Now let's bring up our terminal, Control J to bring up the terminal, and I'm going to navigate to the test folder within that select folder. Then I'm going to say Jest, then followed by the file name. Now let's see the output in action. And here you can see that it selected the orange as we specified here, because the value of orange is basically 2, right? So the value is selected. Now we are going to do the assertion. For that, I'm going to inspect this one, and here you can see that we have a CSS called div.notification.isSuccess. So I'm just going to copy that, and here I'm going to say await page dot, then followed by the dollar symbol to find the element, and I'm going to store that in a variable called message. Okay. Now, first of all, it is going to return us the null or the element, right? So we are going to check if it is not null. So I'm just going to write like if message, that means it is not undefined basically, right? And then I'm going to say expect message dot text content. So text content in the sense it is going to give the text that is available in that particular element. So it is similarly like your get text in Selenium. And then I'm going to check it partially. So I'm just going to use the function called toContent, and here I'm going to pass this orange. So we are selecting the orange based on the value of 2, and we are checking whether the notification that particular this element, right? So this is basically my notification element where I'm checking whether the text contains orange or not. Okay, so let's go and run this once again. Hopefully it should run now. Okay, so and here we can see that we are getting some error. Let's see what was that. Okay, so basically we have to resolve the promises. So await message dot text content. So here we are checking like whether the element is undefined. If it's undefined, then we have to resolve the promises. Then we have to do the assertion, right? So let's go and run this once again. Okay, now here you can see that our test script got passed. So here one test suites and one test pass. I'm going to make this failure intentionally. So I'm just going to make this like apple. Let's see what will be the output. Of course, we are expecting it to be failed, right? Let's see. Okay. And here you can see that our test script got failed, one test suite and one test failed. And the reason it got failed because expected substring is basically apple. But what we got is like you have selected orange. That means in the place of orange we expected apple, so that is the reason it got failed, right? So I believe you are able to understand. It is very similar as we learned already in the protector, or if you are familiar with mocha or the jasmine, it's going to be technically exactly same. Okay, but only one thing you have to remember here is here we have to check whether this is undefined or not first. Okay, now let's take our second scenario. So here we are going to select multiple, right? So I'm going to select like Aquaman, the Avenger, or the Batman. So we can select multiple. So how to identify whether it's a multiple selection drop down or not? It's very simple. If you inspect the select, and here you can see that we have an attribute called multiple. That means of course it can accept multiple values, multiple selections values. Okay, so let's write a test for that. Okay, so it has id called superhero, so I'm just going to copy that, and here I'm going to say await page dot this guy dollar, and then I'm going to use the hash symbol to make sure it's id, and then I'm going to store that here. So I'll just name it like heroes, and it should be of const. It can be const or let anything, but we are not going to change anything in this particular variable. So I'm using the scope as a const here. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to do the multiple selections, right? So we can select based on the text value or the index. To make it simple, I'm going to show you all the three options here. Okay, so first we'll say like heroes dot, and then followed by select option, and within the option we have to specify the value, index, or the text. So let's see how to do that. Before that, if you are going to select multiple, we have to use the array symbol here. Okay, so that means within the array we have to specify the value, and we are going to use this bracket, and here I'm going to say label. So label is nothing but the text that appears on the DOM, and then followed by I'm going to say one more, that's going to be my value here. So value is we discussed already, right? So this is the value, and then also I'm going to specify my index here, and index of course it should be of number, right? So I'm just going to specify like maybe 8. Okay, okay, now let's copy some values and the text. So here I'm going to use this Aquaman as a label, so that's my text, and maybe Batman BT for my value. Okay, that's it. Now let's go and run this text, I mean test, not text. And if you notice here it will obviously fail, right? So if one test got failed, whether it is going to run the another test, let's see that as well. Okay, Okay, and here you can see that one test got failed, but one test is passed, right? Because these are individual tests. So if the expect within this test is getting failed, obviously doesn't matter. It will go to the next step, next test anyway. Okay. Now let's see whether we have selected all the values correctly. So Aquaman, yeah, it's selected here. Batman also selected, and in the index of 8, that is Daredevil, that is also got selected. Okay. So in this way, we can select multiple or a single value. So here, how to select? So in case if you don't want to select by value, you can specify here itself, like you can specify the label and then followed by the label text. That will also work. Okay. So let me comment it for your future reference, and here I will just add the default value, and that's going to be 2. Okay. Okay. Fine. So and this is how we can select a value based on the value text. I mean, select a drop down value based on the value, label, or the index. Okay. Let's say few more scenarios. Okay. Let's say that here you can see select the index using value. I mean, select India using value and print the selected value. Okay. So, okay, we'll come back to this later on. So here we can see that just in case if I wanted to know like how many elements are there, probably I can do that. For that we have like double dollar, we have to use that. Let me show you that as well. Okay, so I'm going to create another test here. Okay, so I'm going to get the count of all the values available within this one. Okay, so let me close this and let me inspect this one. So in this particular we have a id called language, so I'm just going to copy that, and here I'm going to say await paste dot dollar symbol and id the value, right? Let's store that here. So const language, and then what we have to do is basically language, we can do it here itself. So I can say like double dollar, and then I'm going to say like option. Okay, so option, so double dollar in the sense it's like again finding multiple elements at the same time. So if I have to compare this with Selenium, I can say like it is like here find elements. Okay, so language, and then we are trying to find all the options. Now from the options, from all the options we have to get the size, right? So I'm going to say like length is the property for that, and let's print that one. Okay, so I'm going to log it here. Okay, that's it. Fine, right? Now let's go and run this. Let's see.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so one failed because of this assertion. So I'm just going to comment as of now. Probably you can check it later on. Let's see the console log. Where is the console log? Yeah, so in the console log you can see we got the result as 5. Let's verify that. So here we can see that not this one. So let me close and bring this up here. So we have like 1 2 3 4 and 5. So we got the answer correctly, right? Now one more scenario there might be like we have to get the selected text, right? So we have to get the selected text. Let's go with this one, right? So I'm going to so it has id called country. Let's go and store that. So await page dot, and also you can use like this also. So you can say like the locator, that's going to be this country, and here I can say the option like index, not this one. So index equal to the followed by the index. So you can do like this as well, and it should be colon, not the equal to. Sorry for that. Okay, so you can use like this in a single line also. You can select. So what is the difference? We are using the page select option, whereas we are storing the element and then we are trying to handle the drop down. So anyway is fine. Okay, let me comment it out. To print the selected text we can use like await, and I can say like page dot, and here we have a function called eval. So eval is basically used to check whatever there within the element. So here you can see the method finds an element matching specified to some blah blah blah. That means basically whatever the uh, function within the function we have to check, within the element we have to check, we can do it. For example, let me show you. Let me go to this particular this one, right? So here we are going to select this Peru, right? Now how do I validate like whether I have check the Peru or not, right? So first of all, we'll try to take this particular element. So I'm going to use copy JS path, and on the console, I'm going to say dot value. Okay, not this one. Let me copy correctly. So I'm going to inspect this one, and let me copy the JS path here, and then if I say dot value, that will return me the value that is got selected here, right? So this is the syntax. Now here I cannot use like dot get attribute, so that will not work. If I say like get attribute of value, that will not work actually. So it is going to return us the null, or else if I say like dot text content, that will basically return all the text that is present inside my element. So the proper one is the dot value function here. I don't know, it's a function or a property. I think it's a property, so it doesn't have the bracket. So yeah, it's a property, I believe. Okay, so how to do that, right? So here I'm going to say select country, and that's going to return me the element, and I'm going to return the element dot value. But if you see, in this Playwright, I don't know what's wrong exactly. We are not able to get the value. So we are able to get the node value, but not the node. I mean the value. If I use this one, this will typically returns me the null. Okay, but I was not sure about this, so I raised a question on the GitHub, and hopefully I got an answer. So let me just try. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this code here, and then so what was that? So basically they are asking to first type is the return type, and the second type is the element in the function. That means we have to specify the types in the generic, right? So let me do that. So here we can see that now I think value will work. Yeah, so that's really cool, right? So first return type, that is basically my string, and this is HTML select element, that's basically the type of this element, right? So here we are getting this value. Okay, now let me just store that in a text, and then I'm going to log that text. Okay, so yeah, too many codes I know, but it's simple only. Let's clear it up and run once again. Okay, okay, and the script completed. And if I go to this console log, you can see we are getting Argentina, because that is what selected by default, I believe. So let me refresh the page, and yeah, so here Argentina is selected, so that's why we got. But of course you can select anything and you can get it, right? So they are saying like select India using value, so let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to complete the test as well. So here we can see that value is basically the India, so I'm just going to copy that, and here I'm going to say let me uncomment this, and here we will just pass within the double quotes the value. Okay, so that means we are what we are trying to do, we are trying to select the India, and then we are getting the text. If you want, you can write expect as well here, right? So expect text to be, so to be in the sense it's going to check fully, not partially, and that's going to be India. Okay, so let me copy and paste over here. Okay, that's it, fine. Now let's go and run this, and let me have my after all as well, so we won't get any warning. Okay, so let's go and run this now. Okay, so and here you can see that we got past everything. So in the log we are getting India, so that is what we have logged here, and also the session passed, so that's why no failure overwrite. Yeah, and this is commented, that's why it's passed, or else it will be failed. Okay, so that's it for the dropdown. I think I have covered almost everything. So like how to select a dropdown, basic recap: three types. One is the value, that is the default. If you want to specify label, you can use this curly braces, and you can say like label, index, or the value. Okay, and how to select multiple, basically you have to use the array. So within the array we have to pass the multiple values. Okay, and how to get the selected option is very simple. Await page dot eval, so eval function is used for that. Not only for that, so we have lot of things we can do with the eval. We'll discuss more on that maybe in the upcoming videos. Okay, and because of one issue, so here we have to basically specify like what is the generic. So it's basically string and the HTML select element. Okay, and then we can use, so this is basically return. So without using the return, we are using the arrow syntax to return the value, and we are just printing and doing the assertion. Okay, so that's it, very easy. I will leave this link in the description. So like if you are not able to understand what is the actual problem, probably you can just go through it. You will definitely get it. Okay, and the response from the Playwright team is very quick. So 2 hours ago I posted and now we got it. So I think that's really great support. So yeah, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one very soon. If you have any queries, please do let me know in the comments. I will try my best to answer you. Okay, see you in the next one very soon.